Hi guys, this is Pratishta, and I hope you are all clear with your nouns, adjectives, verbs, and everything else by now, and also able to use probably a few everyday phrases for basic conversations. So, in this lesson, we are going to understand what are the basic sentence structures. And today, primarily, we'll be focusing on what different sentence structures are, how you can create a sentence of your own. And yeah, so moving forward, let us see what we have planned in for today. So we basically have understanding basic component of a sentence. So we will just try to see what are those basic components, right? So what is essentially needed for making a sentence? That is what it means. Then we will look at certain type of sentences. What are the different kinds and how you can use them? What is used when? And then you have constructing of simple sentences. Then we will start constructing simple sentences. So if you remember in last class, I also told you about the subject, the verb, and the object. So in this lesson, we are going to look at in a, I would say in a detailed manner at it, right? So component of sentences, there are some basic sentence components, right? A sentence will always have a component. Component basically means part, right? So parts of sentences, you can say. Now, we don't really bother that much about, what is what component uh, is doing what, why do we need it, so on and so forth, right? But it is extremely essential to for sort of follow a track of all of that, right? So our basic, like the most basic sentence is going to have three things always. A subject. Subject means, so for example, you have subjects, right? Maths, English, science, all of these things. What do you do in that? You learn more about that particular subject, right? If I'm talking about math, you are going to learn more about math. So subject is something that is going to be spoken about, right? We are going to talk about that subject. So subject is that. Verb is action. What is that subject doing? Now, if I'm taking a subject, if I'm going to talk about something, that thing should be able to do something, right? There should be a motion, there should be a movement. So that movement or action is your verb. Then you have the object. Now, subject is doing an action, but on what? Right? What is that action happening on? Who is that affecting? Right? So object refers to like who that action happens on, or who gets affected by this action, right? Or you can just say who gets affected, right? Now, a complete sentence will include at least a subject and a verb. So sometimes we will see that there is no object, just that the subject is performing an action. That's all, right? But that is like the most simple of subjects, and I will give you examples for it, right? So subject, the person or a thing that performs the action. So someone that is doing the action. It is generally always a noun, or it can also be a pronoun, right? We will come to pronoun a little bit later on, but pronouns are just like I, you, he, she, they, we. Those are pronouns. Verbs, right? So the action or a state of being. So what is happening? Object is the thing or the person that is affected by the action, always usually a noun again, right? So for example, I can say the cat drinks the milk. Now, first part, who is this sentence about? Who or what is this sentence about? This sentence is about the cat. So our subject is cat. What is she doing? She is drinking. Action, verb. What is she drinking? The milk. So it would be our object. So you need to ask yourself a few questions. Who? Um, what is she doing? What? Let me write. What are they doing? And probably this can just be what? So if she's drinking, what? Right? So you need to ask these questions to be able to identify if it is a subject, if it is a verb, or if it is a object. Now, coming here, a complete sentence typically includes at least a subject and a verb. So sometimes it is possible that there's no object. So if I say the cat drinks, this is not wrong, right? It has the subject, it has the verb. Even though it does not have object, it makes sense, right? The cat drinks. We don't know what she drinks, but she drinks something, right? So the cat drinks. Now, if you understood all of that, it would be pretty easy for you to be able to go through this. There are some examples, right? And we'll look at it together. So the dog chased the cat. Who is this sentence about? This sentence is about the dog, right? So dog is our subject. What is he doing? He's chasing. A verb. What is he chasing? The cat, object. So S refers to subject. V refers to verb. O refers to object, right? She reads the book. What is this sentence about? Who is this sentence about? This sentence is about her, a person, right? So this is a pronoun. Pronoun, in a way, right now, you can just take it as the noun. So it's a subject. What is she doing? She's reading. What is she reading? A book, right? John kicked the ball. Who is this sentence about? This sentence is about John. What is he doing? He's kicking. What is he kicking? The ball. The teacher explains the lesson. Who is this sentence about? The teacher. What is she doing? She's explaining. What is she explaining? The lesson. They watched the movie. Who is this sentence about? It's about them. What are they doing? They are watching. What are they watching? The movie. The chef prepared the meal. Who is this sentence about? The chef. What is he doing? Preparing. What is he preparing? The meal. The cat caught the mouse. What is this sentence about? The cat. What is he doing? Catching. Who is he catching? The mouse. She bought a new dress. Who is this sentence about? Subject. What is she doing? The verb. What is that action happening on? The new dress. The company launched a new product. Who is this sentence about? It's about the company. What has it done? It has launched. What has it launched? A new product. He plays the guitar. Who is this sentence about? He. What is he doing? He's playing. What is he playing? Guitar. So essentially, if you see, it is a train, right? It is a train or a trail of thoughts. It's progressing, right? So you keep on asking question. Who is it? What is he doing? And what is happening? If there is some object, what is that action happening on? So it's pretty basic. Usually the sentence structure is subject first, verb first, and object first. This is the most simple kind of sentences, right? But there are, of course, other kinds of sentences also. We can add adjectives to these sentences. We can add adverbs to these sentences. We can add prepositions to these sentences, right? If you remember from the previous class, all these sentences here use transitive verbs. And if you remember, transitive verbs are the verbs that are connected to the object without any preposition. They are directly connected to the object. So those are your transitive verbs. Okay, now that we know the structure of sentence, we are going to work on the types of sentences. There are usually 4 types of sentences. First one is declarative. Second, interrogative. Third, imperative. And fourth, exclamatory. So declarative sentences are, okay, so if you want to learn this, try to understand the meaning of these words, right? I'll explain it to you. Declarative has the word declare in it, right? So when you are normally declaring or normally speaking something, it is for general statements that will usually end with a full stop, right? So those are your declarative. Interrogative means interrogation, asking questions. Interrogation means asking questions. It means questions, right? So it's pretty obvious. It will always end with a question mark. Imperative. The meaning of imperative is like compulsory, or when something is like imposed on you, I can say that. So you can say imposed, right? So imposition means, for example, I say, do your homework. That is an imposition. It is compulsory for you, right? So I have said it with an imperative tone. And then you have exclamatory. Exclamatory is exclamation, right? Exclamation mark. And it basically shows excitement usually, right? When you're excited, you have a stronger emotion. So that is exclamatory. Now, declarative sentences, they usually make a sentence or a statement, like a simple statement that ends with a full stop. So she likes coffee. It's just declaring that she likes coffee. Interrogative, it asks a question. Do you like coffee? Right? It's a question. Do you like it? It usually ends with a question mark. Imperative is, so what happens in an imperative is, now everywhere else you will see that there is a subject, right? So here she is a subject. Do you, we are talking about you, that's a subject. Usually in an imperative sentences, you are giving a command, but you are not using any pronouns or even nouns for that matter. So you don't really have a subject as such, right? So when I say please sit down, I'm giving a command to you, but I'm not saying you please sit down. If I use you or can you please sit down, it would either make it into an interrogative or a declarative sentence, right? Exclamatory is when you express strong emotions like excitement, probably even nervousness, right? So all these things, or probably like extreme happiness. So what a beautiful day. It's a normal general statement which I have said with a lot of excitement, right? And I'm talking about the day here. So day is our subject here, right? What a wonderful day. Now, each of these sentence has its own, I would say, function in conversation, and each has its own tone. For example, exclamatory sentence is going to have a very happy and boisterous tone, right? What a beautiful day. Interrogative will have like a question related tone. For example, do you like coffee? So from my tone, you can understand that I'm asking a question, right? So every type of sentence has its own tone, and tones are really important, especially when you're practicing your speaking. Now, here are some examples. First is declarative sentence that usually makes a statements. So the sky is blue. She enjoys reading books. It's just normal statements that is telling us about something, right? So it's like sort of giving an info. Mm. So it is giving us an information, right? After that, you have interrogative sentences. Interrogative sentences are going to ask a question. Are you coming to the party? What time does the movie start? It's asking questions. And your tone should be in a way that it seems like you're asking a question. Then you have imperative for commands or request. Please sit down. Please close the door. Please shut the book. Something like that. Don't forget to bring your homework. Come here. Right? So all these things basically are not using any kind of pronoun or subject. Exclamatory sentence, they will express strong emotions. What a beautiful sunset. Wow, that's amazing. Usually always ends with an exclamation mark, right? Could be fear also. Like when you see a snake, you would say, oh, even this is exclamation, right? Because you're excited. Now we will look at how to construct simple sentences. Again, if you remember, all these kinds of sentences are pretty basic. You have to use a subject, you have to use any verb, and that verb is happening on which object. Take any random subject. For example, I'll not even think of a sentence right now. I'm just thinking of any subject, right? So subject can be anything. Let's just take boy or the boy, in fact. The boy. Let's take any verb, any random verb. Let's take study. Let's take any object. For example, let's take map or maps. Right? So we have the subject, which is boy. Right now, it's not a sentence. It's just random words. Study and object is maps. If I have to put it together, I will put it like this. The boy studies the maps. Of course, I have to use studies and not study because this is a singular subject. With singular subject, we will always use the plural form of the verb. Always remember, if the subject is singular, the verb is plural. She plays, but they play. She is singular, plays is plural. They is plural, verb is singular, right? So it is always opposite. If the subject is singular, verb is plural. If the subject is plural, verb is singular. Right? Always remember that. This is like a great tip. Now, start with the subject, the dog, add a verb to it, barks. Optionally, add an object or more information. You can add more information. You can even say the black dog barks loudly. The black dog barks loudly on the man. So on and so forth. Here are some helpful tips as well. So always start with a subject and a verb. Then you can go on and start making the sentences complicated. The cat sleeps. Now now this is my subject and this is my verb, right? Subject and verb. Now I can just add information to it. The brown, cute cat sleeps peacefully on the mat. Now, I have added information. I have added some adjectives here. This is an adverb. We will go to adverbs a little bit later on. And this is in fact our preposition on. And the mat is our object. Right? So you can keep on adding. Keep it short and clear. For beginning, you need to keep it really short. You need to just talk about one idea. I will not go on and complicate the sentence. The brown cute cat sleeps peacefully on the mat and it is also doing something else. So I'll not put all that information in one sentence. I will just stick to one thing, that she's sleeping peacefully. The action is revolved around sleeping. That's it. Use basic vocabulary. So when you're beginning, right now, just keep your vocabulary to minimum and basic, just so that the other person is able to understand. With time, with practice, you can add and you can start using a little bit advanced vocabulary too, but we'll get on to that. Then you need to add an object, of course. To add more detail, include an object on what the action is done. This basically helps to add information on your, like, to your sentence, right? It will make your sentences more effective and more informative. Always start with a simple present tense. So right now we are not even on tenses yet, but we will see that the action is happening either in the present, and then it has like more things present simple, present continuous, but that is for a different time. Then we have action essentially in past. Then we can probably have action essentially in future, right? So past, present, future, that's it. Simple present sentences, she eats breakfast. Simple past, she walked home. So we will look at all of these things, how the tenses change, what happens. We will take a look at it, right? But after you are done with making normal sentences, you can start working on tenses. Then we have positive and negative sentences. Positive refers to that an action is being done. Negative refers to the action is not being done. He likes apple. He does not like apples. All right. So we have put not and made the sentence negative. Then ask simple questions. Practice forming simple questions by rearranging the subject and verb. So you can also say, for example, she is happy. Let's take an example. Right. So we have always seen that subject is at the beginning. Then you have the verb. Then you have like some emotion or something like that. Or maybe your object, you can say. So she is happy. We can always rearrange it. Now, this is a normal, simple sentence. But what if I want to make it into a question? What I'll do is I'll put this verb here and I'll rearrange the sentence. Is she happy? And of course, my tone. And I'll put a question mark. Right? You can add basic adjectives or adverbs, right? So adjectives essentially means something that describes the noun. Adverbs, something means that describe a verb. It's there. Adjective means, adverb means adjective plus verb equals to adverbs. When something describes the verb, how is that action taking place? The small dog barks loudly. Our subject is what? Dog. Our verb is what? Barks. Right? Now, is there any information that's telling more about the subject, dog? Yes. Small, that the dog is small. Is there any information about how the dog is barking? Yes. Loudly. It becomes our adverb. This becomes our adjective. Right? So for this tip, use common sentence starters. So sentence start with simple phrases like I am, you are, this is, it is. It's just common. It's basic. You can also put a name. For example, Tina is the and Tina and John are. For an object, you can use it, right? And practice regularly, of course. The more you are going to practice, the the more natural it is going to come out of you, right? It would not look forced. It would not seem like you have thought a lot about it, and it will just flow naturally. What you can do is you can read, definitely read simple text, start reading. You can start with children's book, you can start with a little bit advanced and go and sort of like build from there, right? But I would suggest start reading very simple books, and newspapers is definitely a good option because newspapers are written in a way that is easy to understand for all of the people, right? Depending on what sort of education. So it's like pretty easy, all in all. You can start listening to audios. YouTube audios are great resources. Start listening to YouTube audios and start practicing. Again, in the previous video also, I told you, you need to practice by speaking with yourself. What you can do is just like this, open a Zoom meeting, record yourself, just record your voice. Or if you want to record your video, do that. Speak in front of someone, speak in front of your parents, family members, friends, anyone. Speak in front of a mirror. And that is about it. Do focus on your pronunciation. That will come with videos, because videos are going to help you in improving your pronunciations, right? That will not happen with reading, because with reading you don't really have. And in fact, you know what? You can always listen to audio, like audiobooks, if you know that, you listen to audiobooks. So that way you are reading also and the audio is also playing along, right? So you are able to read and you are able to listen also. So both your senses are used, right? Eyes and ears. Try to build fluency. So when you start making sentences, of course, it would be slower, but over the time, it would become fluent and faster. So that is pretty much it for today, right? If you want to take a homework, you can start and write 5 sentences for each type of sentence. 5 for declarative, 5 for interrogative. What were the other? Imperative. And then you had exclamatory sentences. Practice reading your sentences aloud, means in a loud manner to improve fluency. Record yourself and listen for correct pronunciation and intonation. So that's pretty much it for this session. I hope you're able to complete all your homework and I will see you in the next class.